And hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and welcome to the FrontLines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. I am here doing a live broadcast after a long time, and it's mostly because of technical issues, hardware issues, a chain of events. I had lost the air conditioner over, then my computer went because it was overheated. And then when I went down to my laptop, which I'm on right now, and I was doing some live broadcasts, trying to live broadcast before, it was not working. So after trying to come up with another solution and working with the constraints of YouTube and what they're allowing to have play, it was actually ending when I would start live broadcasting. So if it ends, then that's the reason. So just so you know, after like 4 minutes, it was just stopping. But I would say that this may work this time. I'm not using Zoom. This is a broadcast where we're going directly using other software to go directly to YouTube and bypassing the Zoom factor. So that's why my pretty face is not on the screen. I also do have, or trying something out. Lazaro is on my cell, and we'll have a conversation as we go. But I just thought I'd introduce to you to what is actually happening right now. Now I know that the viewers are coming on, and we've got 9 viewers and 5 likes, and we'll see if we can keep this going to get back up to where we're doing hundreds of viewers at a time. Oh, even thousands. Why not? Let's get to thousands. So for right now, we'll be continuing to do this as just an audio. I will be able to share the video, I believe. I'm not sure how well it will come across. But some of you can tell me. Now, the live chat, I don't see anyone in there. If someone can actually go in and actually do a chat and see if there's if it's available or not. Let's see if there's anything that's happening there, because I don't see any of the live chat thing going on. So that would be good to know. I could probably, hey Lazaro, can you check on your computer to see if the live chat is running? Because I don't see it on my side.
Yeah, it's running. I just put a post on it.
Oh, you did? Okay, good. Thanks for telling me. For some reason, I'm not seeing it inside the new streaming environment that has been set up by YouTube. So that is. Anyway, we're just trying to figure out things, how we can go. So let's go over a few news items. I think would be good. I wish I could see the chats, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's not business. Yeah, we got four.
Yeah, I'm sure that the.
Expecting it today.
Well, now I just lost the. Let me reload and see if hopefully I'm still streaming. Hey, let me know if I'm still streaming. Am I still streaming?
Well, no, I can't.
Oh, it's back. It's back. I see it. Okay, good. All right, good. So for whatever reason, now that I can see the live chat, I'll say hello.
Okay.
Or good moments.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. All right. Well, we've got 4 viewers. Thanks, everyone. Let's see if we can get back to doing some fairly regular live streams. First announcement is I have put up a video that getting a lot of good comments. So thank you. It is a worldwide civil war, us versus them.
Yes, yes.
And this is a first of many articles on this topic. To The object here is to kind of tell the story to people that don't know what's going on in a way that is not going to be so overwhelming on one hand, right? Because a lot of this makes it very difficult for there's so much information makes it very difficult for people to follow, and that's why I put it in a way that is not going to stretch people's imaginations too far. A lot of this is already very out there, but a lot of people don't understand how things work, and I'm giving my best representation as to how it is actually functioning as I know it. I might be wrong on a lot of things, right? But this is the information that I've been able to get together and kind of coordinate with others, and it's the picture that I hold on the way I see it. And I thought that laying this out in some articles would be good, and then putting it to video would be good. So the next article I've already started. It's a worldwide civil war. Them, really just discussing who they are, where they came from, why they're there, and giving some perspective as to who they are. And the next article after that will be us. We're going to talk about who we are and what we are doing in this, and how we have to fight this battle. And then after that, it'll go into the different battles that are going on, and what we have to address at different levels, because there's so many different things. If it was all just about corrupt politicians, no one would care, right? Tell the bad story, one left versus right, and then everyone is in their camps, and it makes no difference. So the aspect of having a Federal Reserve and all the rest of how it's set up, it's too much for people to take in, all from and what does that mean to them? Because there's so much information, and then on top of that, what can they do about it? So well, let's see. Now it's starting to rain here, so there might be some extra noise. Not much I can do about that, but it'll probably go on for about 10-15 minutes, and then it'll go on from there. But so we have this battle that's going on, and we could say it's a political battle. But how many people realize that this is a worldwide civil war? How many people, when you're dealing with rioters in the streets in Chicago, how many people are thinking that this has to do with people in a worldwide level are trying to basically capture the world, to move it into a totalitarian state, and it's happening right now. And it's a little bit out there for a lot of people. They're dealing with the day-to-day things that are happening with their whole perspective on things. They're trying to feed their families. They can't go to work. They're under a lockdown. They have to wear masks. Is that bad? They're forced to get a vaccination. They have all these things on top of them. So do they realize that this is worldwide? Do they realize that when Trump first started talking about fighting the invisible enemy, that invisible enemy was the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminati? People they're not so tuned into that. But if we start tuning in and listening and seeing how many countries have now completely joined with Trump, as Trump being the world leader. And that's really what we're talking about. He's leading the other countries. He's leading Japan, he's leading the UK, he's leading not that they don't have their own governments in leading, but on the battlefront that we're talking about, this worldwide civil war, Trump is leading. So Lazaro, what did you think about the article?
was very important with the article is that it addresses one topic that you're seeing, which is to not overwhelm any individual person or perspective choices in their reality. It's very simple that we were taught since small with your dad working from 9 to 5 and going home, sleeping, watching TV, and then going to bed, then starting the whole cycle again. Then maybe have a weekend barbecue and go back to work on Monday, starting the cycle all over again. And we were taught that we needed to live life a certain way, then which in reality was a life of slavery. If you really look at it, we were just bred into thinking that this is what we have, and we have to accept it, and we have to believe that that's what it is. So for you to read someone that already considers that a pleasant life, not necessarily because it's a pleasant life, but because they're taught that this is the only options they have, they will learn to like it and possibly even love it because of nothing else but that as a choice. So they're not. It's kind of like you're given a choice, like you're in a desert island and you need to be saved. You really don't care what comes to save you. So we're in that choice. You really don't care what's presented for you, and if it's something that you can do and that it allows you to be a person, you pretty much will accept a lot of things in life as your reality. But we were never given the opportunity to become the full blossom beings that we are. So there are many people stuck in this paradigm, which is what is talked on the first video of being involved in this whole system and not realizing that you're in this system.
Right. So
it's kind of like an ultimate hidden agenda.
Well,
that's been perpetrated against humanity.
Yeah, hang on. I looked up, while we're talking here, and I'm displaying to the audience that there's 195 countries in the world today. All right, so a total of 193 countries are member states of the United States, United Nations, and 2 countries are non-member observers: the Holy See and the State of Palestine, not including total 95, the 195. So there's like Taiwan is a United Nations represented by the People's Republic of China. So there's basically, so when Trump says that there's 193 countries fighting the invisible enemy, he started at 140, then 148, then 150, 152, 180, and now he's up to 193 countries fighting the invisible enemy. So the invisible enemy is the deep state, right? It is the battle that is happening worldwide right now, and this is what is not being portrayed very well by everyone. Now, when we think that QAnon is out there and representing something, it's all focused really around America and what's going on in America, but it does talk about the worldwide events and talking about the black sites in Iran that were blown up by Trump when he says, "Oh, are you going to retaliate against Iran for blowing out attacks on the ships and the drone and all this?" And he ends up blowing up a deep state black site in the mountains, right? So this battle is going on and we see some signs of it. We see 20 helicopters flying over Brentwood, California, which is like West Los Angeles area, heading off somewhere. Where are they going? Right? You have another military helicopter landing on a building, right? And what's happening there? So arrests of different people are going on around the world. So the Lebanon, you have a giant crater where there used to be a building, and then there was other same type of explosions happening, in different locations around the world. The signs of a heated kinetic war are taking place. Right? They are happening, but mostly this is a battle for the hearts and minds of the planet, the people, to decide what their reality is going to be.
Yes. Yeah. There is a impending ammunition that is charged up on the opposing forces of our society.
Yeah, so we can see that there is these, if we look for them, right? So that's like the point of these articles, right? Is to start pointing out where things are and what is the perspective that we need, so that we can identify the problems, so that we can then come up with a solution.
Yes. The main issue that we see before us is that all our property that we think we own has been given to the UN. All our goods have been given to the UN. Even all our lives through our birth certificate have been given to the UN, including, as they considered, even our future lives as humans in another incarnation. So what is before us is extremely appalling as a human species on the planet. So what it will require is much effort on our parts to separate ourselves from what is considered to be the greatest tyranny ever done against the humanity in its own species, which there are many involved in this complex reality that are separate from humans, and we will just pertain in these conversations with the reality of humans being part of the equation.
Right. Well,
okay, Dan.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was just I'm checking out the settings and seeing how the stream health is. And we're doing good, so we're still broadcasting, which is a good sign. So, thank you all for participation. We're up to 5 viewers. So,
well, it's a difficult subject to talk about because.
Well, I think people got out of the habit. We've been offline for about a month, probably, right? So, this is something I think we need to also be able to schedule some Zoom calls, right? So people can ask questions, and have them open for people to.
Yes, correct. Yeah, we can have, because, for instance, one of the main questions is, what does this have to do with our reality and how we perceive our reality? A lot of our viewers many are awakened, and they see, which me and you have talked about, that there are versions of realities one wishes to live in, and that the path before us, see, our reality is made by the choices we make, not the choices reality is because of the choices that we choose our reality, how it is to unfold. It's because we believe in our reality. A lot of these things that are happening before us is because we believe in them, hence we as beings of the sovereign God create the realities. So a lot of these things, some of it we don't choose to be, but we allow ourselves to be participants because we believe that it's a just cause. And many times we are participants. So we need to establish one thing that's important in our reality is, do we choose to be a participant that's 100% involved? Which this is an interesting angle that I'm getting at, is many believe they want to ascend and get out of this mess. Go to their, as you would say, their stars, if they are being people that do believe in these things, or in the Christian religion, which I study very well, is to go and be with God in his own little kingdom and then away from this mess, what you see as a mess. So realities can be very, very confusing when one sees and determines what one would like. So what I'm here to say is very simple. We have to determine what we want in our lives. And if we choose to be part of this life force movement, to be part in the front lines, as this video says, to be the digital soldier, to be the reality soldier. Soldier being not part of a reality that's, forceful in nature. It could be you helping out and establishing a community practice that is very beneficial to your local community. And you could be helping out with that. And that makes it, that makes it very real. Because whatever we can help and become part of this reality, what you believe in needs to be done, we need to do it. This is how you take down an empire that works upon you believing them. At the moment, we believe them because they are empowered right now. Who gives them their power? Definitely not them. How do they get their power? It's because we relinquish our, you might say, our God-given rights to them. And we have to claim them back. And it's not going to happen by us doing things in a reality that we believe in by just love and light. That is part of their process. But it requires you to believe that this will happen and to establish an experience. You see, meditating and becoming within ourselves is part of the practice, but it's not the complete practice. We are beings that are whole, and we are collective. We need to interact with each other in our experiences. And this will allow us to become part of the reality we choose to experience. We can create the reality that is of our choosing. Yes. A paradise, if we choose to. Correct? That's what the message is, is that we need to know that this is out there. We need to know, okay, I don't want this, I want this. Then you create that reality. How do you create the reality? It's very simple. And it was and I mentioned Kim. What she was saying is, many people are calling it because I want to help. And then one of the basic things that she comments is, go to your community, and if it's helping an old lady cross the street, do it. If you can stand in the corner, and when someone needs assistance crossing a very, I would just say, dangerous corner, and you can help someone every so often, then let that be your task for humanity. You see, we have to think. We want to have things in big steps, but in reality, we need to be a collective, the whole. We're not to establish the hive mentality, but we are to establish the colony of humans as a species. That is what we are. We are humans here having a human experience. So we need to have the experience that we choose to have, and we are in the process of doing that. We are given the tools now. And now is the moment for us to establish these moments so that we can establish our beliefs, push it through, and do what you feel you can do for the group, for our humanity, for our life force on the planet. You see, we don't have to do all. We don't have to do big.
Mm-hmm.
This is not what's being asked, right? It's not what we're asking. No one's asking that of anybody. I mean, if you can think of yourself as a child, and we go back to this, a basic concept in reality, is that we have to go back to the child mentality, where a child is given a simple task. I need you to take this book and place it over there on the shelf. The kid will get the book and put it on the shelf. What do I do now? Then, okay, so we have to develop our task in steps so that we're not overwhelmed with the reality before us. Because this is what is being presented to us. An overwhelming reality that's so full of tasks that it's being taught to us it's impossible to defeat them, which is so far away from the truth that, let alone, all we have to do is say we don't accept it, and that's all it takes. And then before us, we do what our hearts knows what to do.
Right.
We need to have faith within ourselves to know that what we believe in is what's going to get done. So whatever we can do, however small the task is, for humanity as a group, do it for your local society. So if you can, okay, go ahead.
So I'm just noticing. So we're talking about reality shift. So it's pretty simple. It's like when people are all resonating around the same things. That is what the reality is for those people. So the more people in that reality, the more predominant it is, the more society moves in that direction. So what we know as the truth, as we is that we want to save our children, that we want to have the ability for us to create and be abundant, and all of these things should be not the world shouldn't be stacked against us on purpose, right? And we've been living under that all this time, where that reality that is presented to us, that is through the programming coming through the televisions and the social media and the mainstream media, this programming, they call it programming because that's what they're doing. They're telling you what they're doing. They're programming you to be in alignment with this. Just like we know that there's controlled opposition, right? So they know that there's going to be people in disagreement, right? So they channel that, they manage it, they create a reality that's still pushing people in one direction. So we have to realize that that is occurring and be able to say, no, we're not going to listen to this only 2 points of view, which ignore what we're talking about and what the issues are, right? Don't give us fake issues. Don't give us false narratives that we need to now deal with, and so the way that we stop that is stop, for example, listening to mainstream media. So many people have tuned out of the mainstream media regarding, say, CNN and MSNBC, and now they call it, MSDNC, like they're so attached to the Democrat Party. But they're moving over to Fox, right? But again, that's part of the controlled opposition. Now there are people on Fox that are and more people coming into Fox that are more trying to go to deep state. Right, they're trying to present a way that, and they couch things in certain ways. So, for example, Fox is not going to come out against masks. Well, why not? Right, the evidence is there. Right, here's the truth. Here's studies. Why doesn't Fox focus on those studies that say that masks are not necessary? Why? So this is the part of the Great Awakening, is for people to realize that they are also not telling the whole story. So as we keep waking up people to this reality that we want, that allows us to move beyond their grasp, the grasp of their reality, we have to inform people. We have to have, like the United News Channel, for example, right? We need to have a place where people can go to. We have to organize. So we have the assemblies, and we have Life Force group as well. So we're doing it. We're creating it. This is us. This is the people, right? This is the new reality. And the more people that jump in, the better. So, I don't know how many people are right now have downloaded the app or gone to the, get it installed on their computer or on their phones, but everybody should. We've got at least 1,000 people that watch these videos when we put them out, if not more. I had one video that hit 15,000 just last month. What's that? I'm getting some background noise from you.
I'm sorry. Yeah. There's the amount of impact we have with society is usually reflective to what hits our emotional nerve, because we tend to be emotionally attracted to things that we've been taught to be through the culturing, like you mentioned, with the TV and many things. But in reality, if you really understand it, evil is evil in many forms. It can be in the simplest form, and it can be in the complex form. But we are taught that there's only one form, which is drastic. So a veil has been placed upon us to only see that, when the subtle differences we never see.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, we are becoming awakened, and that veil that covered up the subtle nasties, if you want to call it, of reality, done by these deep state actors, are now being seen. We are seeing their lies. we are seeing their deceits, along with seeing the drastic things, which are the killing and the abducting of children. And, when I heard that there was, which, I hate to mention it, but there was a 55-gallon drum of this stuff floating around, and they were carrying this thing like if it was treasures of the ultimate. I could only imagine how much suffering was involved in all this, and we will put a veil only to see that, because once you don't see the subtle things that the deep state does, that's when they can do all the big things. You see, one of the things that we're taught, you're taught in Christianity, is if you can do the little, you can handle the big. So, if the evil on this planet is taught, listen to this wisdom, to manage the little things, to hide them, to do the little things, they will be able to manage the big things. They apply the rule that, if you might call him the Messiah, he gave to the people. He's using it for the evil. The evil are using it for themselves, that wisdom. Right. So they played with a double sword. They're using all the arts that there is to do their task at hand, and they don't regard anything.
Right. Well, then they tell you not to use, certain things like this symbol or that symbol, right? Because it's evil.
Correct. Yes, right? It goes into that aspect.
Right. Yeah. So we have a complete a lack of having tools available to deal with them. Because anything that you would do. Okay, there we go. Not receiving enough video. So, all right. I tried something while we're.
I see your picture now on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So but I got the error. I got an error from YouTube. So that's what it was. So as soon as I start doing the video, not enough video to maintain smooth streaming. All right. So let's see.
Yeah. No, you're fine. You're streaming. So what one of the symbols which I loved was the rainbow, which they took the rainbow and they put the red on top. Now they hijack that and they say, no, the rainbow's ours. The gay culture as their symbol, and that's something that was supposed to be the symbol for the promise of God.
Right.
And what I call the Old Testament, or I call the Anunnaki Testament. And they used the symbol when suppose Noah came off the ark, he looked up, this is the symbol. He saw the rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then in many cultures, the rainbow. The rainbow represented a pot of gold at the end. Why did the Irish, the leprechaun with the pot of gold, the rainbow, those all represents the rainbow as a special thing. And if you realize, you look at it, I'm just going into the symbol, how deep it is. If you look at it, when you take a prism and you shoot white light at it, the prism separates it into all the spectrums. It's almost like pure white light has all the divine aspects of God. So the rainbow is not a coincidence that it was taken to represent something so beautiful, and yet it's taken in some places it's used for for things that it shouldn't be. So for me, it's almost sacrilegious in some places what the rainbow is used for. So that's just the rainbow instant. You can go to every symbol down the book, and even the flag.
Yeah.
You can take the flag what is the code 4 on the flag? right?
Title 4, yeah. So the Title 4 flag is the correct flag, right? So now,
yeah. What did Bush do to violate, and Obama to violate the Title 4?
Yeah, they use a different aspect ratio. You know,
yeah, they changed the aspect
3 by 5 for Bush and 5
yeah.
and a square flag for Obama.
Yeah, so what did they do? They took something that was sacred. You can see on our Frontline logo the flag being pulled up during the war, representing we love and cherish America and its culture of beauty that it needs to be again. And that flag represents that. It's taking that flag and they're deleting it. They're making it and perverting it, if you want to call it that, and culturally desiccating it. It's almost like dead already. They're killing an emblem of our culture that represents something special.
Yeah.
It has guided a lot of people in their hearts and moved them, and there's no wonder why Betsy Ross decided to sew the flag and make the flag, and it was carried along that day, and they did, our famous anthem that we sing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of isn't there a lot of emotion there, a lot of belief tied in with it, what people believed what America could be and needs to be again. Because there was one moment that America was being pushed towards something, and it did for moments achieve that. Do you think that it achieved for moments when they couldn't get their way? Not like now, where all the nations are under their, as you might say, foot. But there was moments where the Greenback and Lincoln, it was victorious against them. So
yeah, well,
we need to bring back those moments,
Yeah, so that's why they want to erase history. It's because the times when we're winning, right? Even the establishment of a country that was for the people, right, based upon the God-given rights that the government can't take away. That whole concept was something completely opposite of what was in the world. And before that, we only had kings, we had royalty, territories, we had border disputes about resources, and everything from that point was about only the kings or the ones that were had rights. Anyone else, you were just property. You were the serfs of the land. So now that we have this idea that has come here, they've tried to remove it. And they've done it in an underhanded way, right? They secretly did it. I mean, it's like in the article, Worldwide Civil War, Us versus Them, I go into, and I just mentioned that they forced the country to bankruptcy after the stock market crash in 1913 for the purpose of installing a central bank. Well, and then that central bank was going to use what? They didn't have any gold. The country was bankrupt. Well, what do they have? The people. So the birth certificates and the taxing of those people was to pay back the money. And that's all it was about.
Exactly.
And that was done in an underhanded way because they crashed the world economy on purpose. That was a conspiracy to commit fraud, right? That was a conspiracy.
And I might even say that gold will never be used as currency again. One of the things that's most likely going to happen. It'll used to be backup a currency, but gold will never be used as a currency anymore because of the situation created.
I don't follow along with that. So you're going to have to explain more because I don't. I see it the opposite of that. I see that the gold will be, well, when you say not used as currency, it means you don't have a gold piece that you go and drop down on something. You have to have. But if you wanted to take those dollars and exchange them for gold for that value, then that's whatever the gold value is.
Yes.
All right.
That's where you're at. That's where you're.
Okay. So.
Gold grain society. Yeah.
Right. Well.
What I'm saying is that.
Yeah.
But it's just semantics. In other words, there's many people who believe that we're gonna have to back our own gold, our own money that we use, and that's not the case. We can have gold and get gold and exchange it and use it personally as currency. But as far as the system that's going to be introduced needs to be introduced for banking and all that, it's going to require us to use it as a, like you're saying, as a backing, as with the Grain Society, the grain.
It's gold grain coin. So
exactly.
it's a so the reality trying to be created with gold grain coin is not really as much about the gold grain coin as it is about creating an ecosystem, right? The ability for us to have people use something that is tied to the price of gold, right? But to use it within their business, and this could be then generated to generate more and more value within this ecosystem, because we tie into what is we tie
it's
in
not currency, correct? Yeah.
Right. So let me discuss something. Right. Well, that's the right now, a currency. So, but in the world of today, in the system that we have at hand, we have the asset, which is all in the trust. That is the idea behind it when they were doing this, which they haven't really been doing, right? Because they were cutting everyone off, but and now Kim is struggling on getting them to work with her. But hopefully that it is the case. It's going to happen, all right? But the currency would in the old system be drawn down by the asset. It would go out into the world, and it would go from one person's hand to the other, to the other, to the other. Let's say, I think it was an average of 15 times before it came back into the bank. And when the bank, saw that particular money come back into the bank, after 15 times, it was pulled out. It was now, it just gone. It's just disintegrated. Right. So this money was not. It went through 15 hands, for example. Let's say it went through 100 people's hands. That's 100 people had $100 in their hands for the moment they had that money. So it was like in their hands. It was energy at the moment, but passed to the next and passed to the next. But that's one single $100 bill. So that.
Yeah.
So they had to dissolve it after 15 times, right, to release the asset, right, to detach from the asset again, so that the asset wouldn't constantly be pulled to always have something attached to it, right? So it was freed up again. So that and the very end, all the money made its circulation. They pulled it out. There's no money left. That only the asset sitting there, and all under the trust. So that's part of that plan. So if you have money that's
yes, to make it clear to the people listening, what you're introducing is let's say they released $100 million. The $100 million circulated, and then slowly it went back to the banks, deposited, and it's deposited. And it's used, all trickled down all the way until they see that all of it has gone back. Then that item that was attached to it which they traded amongst the 8 individuals to create the asset amount the asset amount in the first place. They actually received the asset now because they gave the money and they received back the money. So in other words, that asset is unlocked from them being able to own it.
Right.
Yeah, so it's very tricky.
So, but this is
yeah.
yeah. So this is the point, though. So if the reason that this is occurring also is because of taxes and having to pay back the interest rate. So let's say you didn't have to collect taxes anymore. Let's say you didn't have to make the money disappear, the currency. It's just eternal, just keeps going. So a lot of one of the economists, if you said, oh, they'll say, oh, you can't do that because it'll cause inflation, right? Because there'd be too much money out in the world. Well, what it does is it stops poverty. If there's too much money in the world and it's being circulated and gets into people's hands and they start gathering a savings, that means that they're able to hold on to more and then move it along, so there's more out in the hands of people, and so the population increases and the more money goes out into the hands. Now, of course, some people will be better at gathering money than others, but so let's say it doesn't need to be dissolved. So what is our focus? So okay, we have a coin that's tied into creating a new economy, right? So okay, so put the coin aside for a moment. Let's say it's tied to the price of gold, and so let's not worry about that. And it can be broken up. We can move it from wallet to wallet, no problem. All right, but what is the focus? It's about creating businesses. We need to build businesses that are going to use this coin as a way of generating abundance. So,
which the coin in itself is tied directly to the grains.
Yeah, and the grains never disappear. So that once a grain is made,
exactly,
is always.
That's what we're talking. Yeah,
it always
so
exists.
It's not used as a direct currency.
Yeah. So I guess this is what got me started was on this. Got on my soapbox because you said that that it's like gold. We're not going to be using gold as money anymore, and that's the opposite of what I'm trying to do here. Is I'm trying to use gold as money, or at least the aspect that gold is tied to. The price of gold is tied to this coin.
What we're saying, what I'm mentioning is back before, one of the reasons this nation got in trouble is they didn't have the system that you're saying.
Yes.
And it gave the ability to take over many times by the deep state. So what you're trying to establish is something that's going to make it foolproof.
Yeah. So to build an ecosystem, you need to start building the business. So I'm trying to lead the way in building businesses, right? So the first business was built. The funny thing is, as soon as the first business was built, we're right in the middle of this lockdown, or not middle, but it might be the middle, right? So we're still not really we still don't know when the end of this lockdown is going to happen. But everyone that was involved, they were not able to move, right? They got stuck, right? They can't go from place to place. They're not making money. They're worried about how they're going to survive. I'm worried about how I'm going to survive. It's a very difficult timing right now. Actually, donations are very much welcome at this point. I have my PayPal donation link is down below in the description of the video. If you can help, please do. I actually have not been trying to ask for any kind of donations because I didn't want there being any confusion with the setup of and starting of United News Channel, right, and Life Force. I didn't want there to be any kind of conflicts. But at this point, it'll be good to get some donations.
Competition,
Yeah.
Okay.
So this will be a good time, everyone out there that is listening. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So the aspect of building an economy, building businesses, right, and building this business is that once one business is using this coin, and it can be used to pay people, it can be used to buy things. Even though if this is like the bridge to the existing financial world comes in the form of two things. One, it's the gold, right? And the second is Bitcoin, because Bitcoin allows to be converted to fiat, right? And so building this bridge makes it something that we can use today, right? It's not something that we have to wait for. It's here now, right? So this is a something where we can start building different businesses, different build up where people are getting paid in this coin. All of this from the standpoint of creating what would be a new type of ecosystem, one that's has a different kind of business model. The more that I hear about, like, say, I used to think very, say, the stock market and companies that have stock and all this kind of thing. I really didn't really put it together that it was that part of this is still an enslavement type of system, right? Partly that it is now I can see that owning shares in a company or a division of this, but because of the way things are structured within the fiat debt instruments system, it's all very much tied together. So how do you make a new business? How do you make a structure of a business that people come in together to use that business? Well, you do it as an agreement, right? An agreement for individuals or groups to come together and do things as you agree to do within this group. So consider it a private agreement group, or a private contract association is another terminology for it. So it's the people involved are what's important. You have to be able to recognize that the people, even in today's existing system, the people are the most important part because they are the collateral, right? They're also the engine that drives everything. They just don't get the benefit. They just harvest the benefit and send it up.
Yeah. What I like to see is that we have a purse that's gold grains, and that purse is not used to threaten humanity. You see?
Yes.
It's not involved in a aggressive fashion. It's a passive system of managing the currency it's attached to, and it's used in a benevolent fashion. Again, cryptocurrency, as we see it's got that word crypto, which means almost like creepy sounds if someone doesn't know what crypto means. So when someone doesn't even know about it, uses the word, it really sounds almost like evil in its own fashion. So it develops the pattern.
Yeah, I know. I came up with a new name for it today. I called it cipher currency. Cipher. So a cipher is a code, right? So it's basically an encoded or decoded information. So a cipher currency I think is appropriate for us to use that kind of terminology. The idea of blockchain is just an accounting system. It's just a database. In other words, it's storing data in a way that's kind of unique, that it links from the next cell to the next cell to the next cell. So
it's if no one has ever taken a blockchain course, it's actually, you can learn it using kids games. That's actually how they teach it. They take when you play like a game, and it's a blockchain system.
Yeah.
And you wind up.
It's just a chain of information.
How it works.
It's just a chain of information, a structure, and how and where the data fits in the structure. That's all it is. So to encode it into cells and move it to the next. So I'm envisioning a system where we protect the privacy of every individual. The two encryption patents that I actually filed for, the basics of that were for keeping the information private to the individual. And actually, I received two patents out of 4. Right, but it's all based around this things. Even dealing with quantum mechanics was part of the patent. It was a Schrodinger's cat and how the system was to function. But anyway, so without getting too deep into that, I envision a way in which we're able to do these transactions, sell things privately, right? But have the data available to us, and we own the data. It's not like where right now.
Yeah, correct.
I think one of the problems that Kim has pointed out is the collection of metadata, right? So if you use the blockchain, they're collecting metadata. So this metadata, but this metadata exists whether you're using blockchain or not, right? It's just everything that they use on the phone is metadata, everything. So it's like, you're in the ocean, so you should expect that there are going to be, many different things using the water, right? So the metadata is the water. So in order to solve that, and I started solving this problem back in 1998. This is when I was working on it. I started working on it back then because I knew privacy was going to be the biggest issue. And that was when, I was buying a subsidiary of Gateway Computers, which was called Amiga Computers, and to launch a new computer platform, again, with the basics idea of an e-commerce platform that respected everybody's individual privacy, but realizing that every computer was going to be connected. And so the potential for losing your privacy was there. Now, obviously, that's happened. There's not one way that you can be, private unless you eliminate all electronics from the area where you're at, right? Even then, you got to be under an umbrella, or the satellites will see you, right? So, the invasive nature of technology has been let to run amok in regards to how it grabs our data. And that shouldn't be the case. And we can change that. That can be changed. It's not inevitable that we have to be in a world in which everything is known by the tech giants, right? Which is this what we're really fighting in this worldwide civil war, or it's like one aspect of that is the tech giants, right? But they're just one part. What are they? They're big companies. How many? So we're also looking at a super company, right? That is overriding all countries. Now the countries, like China, have basically said, you have to do it our way and all this, but everything was to move to China, right? So that was like the governmental arm of the world was going to be under a communist system, right? with the tech giants monitoring like everything and giving power to the communist system, which again then behind that is again you got the bloodline things, right? So you've got all the aspects.
Collectors of metadata.
Yeah, the collectors of the metadata.
They're the main ones. Zoom is part of it. Most of our, YouTube and Google, obviously, and then Facebook. Facebook is big time, and Twitter. So the metadata is collected all over the place.
Yes.
And we're just handing it for free.
Right. And my idea way back in 1998 was that everybody's data would be owned by them. If you wanted to sell your data, you could do that. Right? And if you wanted to stop selling your data, you could do that. You could pull it back. Actually, just thinking about it, I was actually designed kind of a blockchain in this ability to retract links. Because it would store, but it would be it had a key associated with it that you could retract, and they wouldn't have access to the data anymore. So, in essence, there was a way in which this information could be stored and then retracted if you didn't want your data out there anymore, and because it was all by agreement, right? And we would protect the individual user for the system, right? The basics of everything was to protect the people, not for money, right? The money, plenty of money would have been made. So it's not about the money, right? So there's so much money that would have been made, but if individuals themselves were able to then sell their data. Let me give you. I use this example. I had a assistant that traveled with me. Her name's Michelle, and Michelle was a raw foodie, right? She ate all raw food, and she had like all this information, right? Unique to raw food people, right? And she had lots of people calling her and things like that, and in the social groups, right? And she'd be saying this and saying that, and I said, well, this is a perfect, example of someone who has metadata, right? Her metadata about what's good in raw foods. Not just recipes, but really, this manufacturer, this source, So if she was able to sell her information as to this, or even applying, a marketplace for her to answer questions, right, based upon how well she was respected amongst other people that were also raw foodies, right? There would be this social value in her information that she could benefit from. I mean, who benefits from being on Facebook? Facebook does. The people don't really benefit.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible, the amount. And let me tell you, the only way that at the moment, let's say you wanted to correct the metadata loss that someone stole from your data, it's like you gotta call and cancel your credit card, right?
Yeah.
Let's say it's like someone stole the data of your credit. Now they have the information on your credit card, your PIN, who you are, and all that metadata, and they can reproduce a fake credit card. Now, for you to you have to call and cancel. That's the only way for you to retrieve data that's yours.
Yeah.
We actually have to sit there and do such an aggressive action when that data should be ours, shouldn't it? Yes. We shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Cancel our credit card because someone stole the data.
Well, think about this. If we start building our own ecosystems, right, own businesses, all interacting with one another, this is the system in which then we can protect the people, right? If you come into this ecosystem, then you can be protected. because your data is inside. So if you don't have a choice, right? And what's the choice? Going to Facebook or going to Twitter? That's no choice, right?
No, that's no choice. And even going to the banks and relying on them for your transfers of money, that is even dangerous too. Because I have bad experiences with banks, with stocks, with all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And none of this is helpful.
Yeah.
As far as data is concerned.
Yep.
You almost have your whole life, and everything about you is based upon the metadata the banks have and what they decide to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about this. It's not a matter of them having your data. It's them doing whatever they feel like it with your information. And then you have to accept it.
Right.
You see? There's no, I don't want you to do this. Okay, if you don't want that, then we can't have you as a client here. You have to take all your money out of the bank and leave. And so what do you think is going to happen? You're going to leave the money in there and you're going to succumb to them. Yes. To their every whim that they say. So the banking system in reality is one of the worst systems that this tyranny of the central banks have established. Well, we believe that that's the way to do things. Right. When it's the most perverted and evil system there is on the planet, where we've been brainwashed into believing that that's what we have and that's what's going to protect us. Yep. When in reality, let me say, which you're not mentioning, at any given moment, all the money could be frozen, and nobody has nothing. Yep. And you can't do nothing about it.
Well, that's already happening. They're already removing all the coin, right? All of the physical coins, quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies. No one can get any. It has already announced, we have a shortage of coin. Now that's baloney. There's no shortage of coin, right? There's not like a bunch of leprechauns out there grabbing up all the coin and storing it in pots at the end of the rainbow, right? The coin is there, right?
Yeah, there's none of that.
None of that, no. So
yeah, we're seeing that aspect where they're social engineering us into what they want us to do, and we just happen to be fighting back. The key word is fighting back.
Yes.
If you succumb, if you become neutral, if you just sit in the sidelines and watch the gameplay, they're not participating.
Right. So Lazaro, what happens if tomorrow everyone wakes up and stops listening to what the cabal wants? The deep state. What if they don't wear masks? What if they go open their stores? What if everyone just goes to work? I'm sending my kid to school no matter what, if there's a teacher there or not. I'm sending my kid. Right? What if everyone does that?
The few that are there left wanting to do that are going to be overwhelmed.
Right. So the reality changes. The reality changes overnight. So the real question is, when the people are standing by and waiting, and they're like, they can't make a decision on what side they're going to believe. Eventually, what happens is that we meet critical mass, where we have more people that are on our side, right? That are all active in doing something, right? That changes everything. And so the faster everyone just decides that they've had enough and they're just not going to take it anymore. What's that movie? I'm as mad as hell and I'm just not going to take it anymore. As soon as that moment comes, right? That's when everything changes.
Mass co-creation.
Yes.
There's a consideration that you realize that mass co-creation is powerful, and this is what they don't want.
Yes.
They separated everybody. They want everybody in their homes. They don't want anybody to come out and vote. Everything separate, so that there's no mass co-creation. And this mass co-creation is like a big old fireball of energy that's created that can't be defeated.
Right.
You see, what's the saying again that Q always points out? Where we
go one,
we go all.
Yeah, where we go one, we go all.
That's it. Why is that one of the logos or expressions to love? Why do you have that love with it?
Yeah.
It's because that's it. We have to create that intense fireball heat of creation where it's overwhelmingly, wherever they turn, there's no way for them to grab hold of something to maneuver it away from reality and what we chose it to be. We can't leave any kind of handles out for these people that are involved, these deep state actors creating this reality before us that we decidedly do not want. We can't leave any kind of handles there for them to grab hold of. Handles being that we give them an opportunity to enter our lives illicitly because we think that we're not able to do what is necessary to exclude them out. We can do what is necessary. We are the beings created as necessary. Whether we first adopt the Kim system and the banking through the Kim system, and then later on, Dan can do his currency through the grains and establish the eco-environment with that. That can be beneficial to do alongside and maybe in tandem and work with it, the system that's being established. And this is the reality that we're facing. It all has to do, the situation we're in right now, and unfortunately it's because of money.
Yep.
The money, the greed for money. It's greed. And greed can be considered, if you go to that famous painting about the deadliest sin, I would say greed would be one of the deadliest ones ever.
Yeah.
Because that is what has brought...
Well, they say that there's 7 of the deadly sins, right? So they're probably all just as equally in the problem.
Yeah,
but
in Dante's Flame, where he depicts hell, it is one of the deadly sins is this greed for money, for things. See, it's not the greed for money that is the terrible. It's the greed for everything.
Yeah.
It's the want. I want everything, and I do not want to share. And we are in this universe. We're all linked together.
Yep.
That's an impossibility. So it's almost like an oxymoron. So they live in a fantasy world where they believe these things that can happen, and in reality, it can never be sustained indefinitely.
Well, no, I think they realize that, right? Because they always plan for it to crash, right? They're always ready for it to, but they're taking everything along the way, right? So they know it, but now one of the last things is to harvest all the people, which is the sickening part of where they're at with things, right? So we have to move past that. We have to go ahead and get active. I would say, but people need to, take the simple steps, like this video, right? Subscribe, share, These are simple things. Join the app for Life Force, right? Go read the stories at United News Channel. So these things are the simple things. Now, this information, I don't have the websites loaded right now for the description, but I'll add them after this. Actually, we should probably not. How long have we been on already? Probably a little while.
1 hour. Yeah, we should be closing off. Yeah,
an hour and 22 minutes.
Give the people. Yeah, it's very interesting, the topic, because basically everything revolves around it. The whole thing we have with Life Force is because of their greed for money, their greed for power, which requires them to have the money.
Yeah.
And the whole system that you mentioned in that video is tapered on extracting the money out of the people.
Right. Yeah, that's it.
We need to awaken to that's what's happening to us.
Yeah.
We've been suckered into believing that, if you want to call it that, our benevolent, how would you say, naive selves have been suckered into believing that this is what's best for us, like little children. And we are not little children.
Right.
We are big, grown people in the universe, and we're a species that need to be dealt with as far as our creation and what we believe in and what we believe in our God to be. And we can leave it at that.
Yeah.
And I'll let you close up. I'll be...
Well, okay. Thank you, Lazaro, for joining me on this experiment of live broadcasting. Again, I'm glad we were successfully stayed on. But again, if I put the video on, it freaks. It stopped. So even Zoom won't take it. I can't go direct as well. So no video, but all right. We can work with this until I can get my desktop system repaired or a new computer or what have you. But so one last thing is the wwg1wga.love website. We are going to be remodeling it. I'm going to put up the articles up there as well, and have more conversations about that, and kind of link things from there. The stuff that's happening that are Q related will be segregated. So because it was set up as a way of having a division of the different elements of this worldwide civil war. All right. So, like the Great Awakening is one subject, right? And then there's, the deep state religion of communism and Luciferianism, right? So we need to try and break up the data that's out there into these sections, so people can work off of one line of thinking and get familiarize themselves with this one problem. The pedivore side of things, or the AI issues, all of these things. There's no quick answer, right? This is just the complexity of the world right now that we're dealing with, and we have to take one step at a time. I would also urge people, you can go to the website and join, and you can give a donation that way as well. And you can do a monthly of, I would encourage, at least $8.88 a month. There's also $9.99 a year that also would actually really help right now. But this is a way in which we can start, pulling some, lines of information and organizing it in a way that will help people to break down the complexity of this whole worldwide situation. And I hope that these articles will help also to, drive that. So again, thank you, Lazaro, and thank everyone for tuning in. We're up to 7 viewers.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you. and have a good day.
I'll be back tomorrow. I'll try and do it a bit earlier. I'll try and get in somewhere around 9 to 10 Eastern Standard Time.
That definitely would be helpful. Yeah, thank you.
All
Many
right.
blessings all. Peace, love.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.